would you do if at 10 years old you left to go ride your bike outside and the next thing you know, you're being held captive under a trapdoor of cement for 3,096 days? Hi, my name's Jessica Rains, and welcome to the Remarkable Women series, where we talk about women who had all odds against them and still came out and made a beautiful life for themselves. That's what happened to 10-year-old Natasha Kampusch one day when she went outside to ride her bikes with friends. There was a man waiting outside for her who had been scouring the area for 4 days before Natasha was found by him. He took her and held her inside of the home that his grandfather built that had an underground bunker, a 5 foot by 5 foot underground bunker, and hid her from the public for 8 entire years. They even got to the point where they told Natasha's mother to stop making birthday cakes for her because it was very unlikely she would be found safe. But her mom never gave up hope of finding Natasha. This is the 10-year-old face of Natasha Kampusch. This is the face of the man who stole her childhood. That's right, Wolfgang Pricklepill took Natasha off of the street and she endured hell for the next 8 years. Natasha said that as a child, she told herself that someday she would be strong enough to fight back against him and she would get out. He would treat her nicely, buy her things, try to make her feel better. At some point, he even allowed her upstairs in the house with him as long as she made sure to cover her hair so there was no trace of her left behind. He also took her out into the public with him on few occasions, and he had told her that he was going to be making false identity cards for her, birth certificate, social cards, so that way he could start a life with her once she turned 18. I can only imagine how terrified Natasha was as she endured nothing but harm the next 8 years. And she said towards the end that his erraticness became much more hard to handle, that the beatings became worse and everything became much worse. She said she also felt bad because he was nice to her. So, of course, she wanted to be nice back to him because she didn't know what was going to happen. And she also said that her biggest fear was something happening to Wolfgang outside of the house while she was locked in the underground bunker and nobody ever finding her or knowing that she was ever there. The image you're looking at right now is the room that Natasha was held in. You can clearly see it was small. She said she really struggled to get air in there. And I can only imagine how scary it would be for a 10-year-old girl to be held in this room for 3,096 days. Natasha worked with Wolfgang in gaining his trust because she knew she would get more if he trusted her and thought that she would never go against the grain. But she kept telling herself, one day I'm going to be strong enough to fight against him and get out of this place. She said she never stopped dreaming for a future, no matter how bland and dark it got inside of those 4 walls. One day, Natasha walked outside with Wolfgang. Like I said, he did allow her to be in the public at certain times, but he kept a very close eye on her, never letting her out of his sight. She was vacuuming the car when Wolfgang received a phone call and he had to step away. The gate was open, and once Natasha saw that, she took every bit of her energy and strength and ran straight out of that gate to a 70-year-old woman's house for help. They then called 911, but unfortunately, once Wolfgang realized that she had escaped, he took himself to the nearest train tracks, and you can guess what he did. So ultimately, he ended up passing away before they could ever even get justice for the 3,096 days that he held her captive inside of that home. Natasha is now a motivational speaker. She said it took her many years to get over this. She's written books. She's a motivational speaker. There are documentaries, movies about this young woman who turned her entire life around after 3,096 days of the worst torture and you could ever go through. This man really was sick in the head and thought that when she turned 18, he would have a family with her. He would bring her baby dolls and hairbrushes and books and ask her if she was okay. She said to make up for the fact that he never could send her to school, he taught her English and mathematics. That's why Natasha Kampusch had to be number 2 on today's Remarkable Women series, where we talk about women who face the unimaginable and come out and still make a beautiful life for themselves. So Natasha actually went back and bought the house that he held her in just because she said she did not want it to become a shrine of all of the terrible things that Wolfgang had done to her. So while she does not live in the home, she did actually buy the home to ensure that what happened to her would never happen again to another little child. Natasha, thank you so much for sharing your story and for your strength. I can't personally imagine what it took to make it through those 3,096 days. I think you're a brave, fantastic woman. And thank you for sharing your story. I hope you guys will follow me on all platforms for more. We're going to continue talking about remarkable women who had all odds against them. Thank you for joining me. My name's Jessica Rains, and I hope to catch you in the next one. I love you guys. Okay, bye. Like, follow, share, and subscribe, please.